Hi, welcome back. Today we're going to start a step-by-step tutorial on a beaded face pendant. I had a request from Andy Rozdazinski. She asked if I did step-by-step tutorials, and I've tried. This one may be a long one. I think I'm going to try to break it into at least two parts. One will be, the first part is going to be the making of the face, and then the second part, maybe the third part, will be actually doing the beaded fringe. So that being said, I'm not going to do this face. I'm going to start out with a face that more people might be able to follow along, and that's with this moon face mold, which I think is Sculpting or Makin's, and quite a few people have. So if you want to play along, join in. Okay, so along with this mold, we're also going to need clay. I'm going to be using Primo translucent because I'm going to try something different with this pendant. I thought since we're doing a tutorial, we might as well have a little bit of fun here too. So right now, let me show you this too. This is just a tip. It gets cold here in New York. Sometimes inside my house is cold even in the summer. So the clay is stiff when it's cold, or in this case it's also a little bit on the old side. So what I do is I take just a mug warmer and I put a tile on top like you could get at Home Depot. And then I let my clay warm up on the tile. And let me see where it is. And then it becomes more pliable. Now you have to condition clay. Even the clay to use for these pendants has to be conditioned. And by that I just mean squish it around and mush it around until it becomes really soft and pliable, and you don't get cracks and it doesn't break when you make it into a ball or a log or whatever. And then once you have that, if you take this translucent clay, you can add little pieces of any color clay. This is just white clay. This is just a Sculpting original white clay that I have like for making simple things in, and that just comes in a box like that. Or you can buy the little 2-ounce bricks, which are also perfectly fine. So I'm not going to use white this time. I was thinking I would put some white in the translucent to give it, a little bit of a ghostly pale color. But I think what I'm going to do with this is I'm going to use, excuse my phone, I was going to use some alcohol ink because I was playing with it earlier today, and I've decided that it could make it very interesting. I've used it before, and it does work. And it will help to maintain some of the translucency of the clay while giving it some color. So I have it flattened out, and I'm putting it inside a sandwich bag because I'm trying to protect my hands as much as possible. And then this is Adirondack ink, and it's the color Shell Pink. I apologize for the glare. I have my overhead lights on here today. It's kind of gray outside. I'm in upstate New York and it's over 60 degrees today. It's just crazy. So here I'm just adding 2 drops of Shell Pink Adirondack alcohol ink. And then I'm just gonna fold my clay over a little bit, as much as I can without getting it on my hands. I'm going to zip this little bag up, and then I'm going to proceed to mash it together until it becomes kind of an even color, trying to keep the bag out of it as much as possible. And I will be back as soon as I achieve an even mix. Okay, well, I've mixed this around some, and I think it needs more color. It didn't turn a very dark pink at all. It's hard to even see the pink I mean, I can see it in person and it kind of does look like it has a little pink under the surface, but I really want more than that, so I'm going to add some more ink. Let's see, I'll take the top off. This is still a shell pink. I'm going to spread this clay out just a little bit more. And if you don't want to use alcohol ink, by all means don't. You can, like I said, use any color, polymer clay, and you can also color it with pastels. You can color it with acrylic paint. Oil paints don't work because oil paints won't dry, but anything that, like acrylic paint or whatever, can add color to polymer clay. So all I'm doing is squishing it up some more and seeing if I can achieve. I'd like a light pink color. That's all I'm going for, is light pink. So I just keep squishing it up. Okay, I may even have to add more. It's better, I think, to add color a little bit at a time. Oop. Clock chimed. Luckily it's the half hour, so it only chimes once. And my furnace came on. It's a typical day here in the Bell house. Of course, you can hear my dog too. He's got his rawhide bone, and he likes to balance it on my foot while he chews on it. So you can hear him kind of fussing around. Okay, I am going to, this plastic makes it kind of difficult. I probably should just bite the bullet and take it out and do it with my hands. I usually just do it with my hands. Alright, I'm going to open it up. It's already fairly flat. And I'm going to add a couple of more drops. Oh, I'm going for gold. I'll do 3. And close it back up a little bit. Close my bag back up. And I will be back. If I have to add more ink to this, or if I do add more ink to this, I will let you know when I come back. Okay, well, I'm back. I've added maybe 5 more drops, and I've realized that shell pink kind of gives it a light flesh color. I don't know how it'll bake up. I'm kind of hoping it might have a few little streaks. I don't know. We'll have to see when it gets there. Let me just put the clay down for a second and we'll move on to the mold. I think I'm going to try to do this little one over here. Okay, so we're going to use this one. Generally you have to prepare your molds. This is a spray bottle. All it has in it is water. You could spray a little water in there. This is baby powder. You could put a little baby powder in as a release agent. What I'm going to use are these perfect pearls, and this is the color blush. So I have a paintbrush. Actually, this blush color is kind of a flesh color too, so I guess I have a flesh tone thing going on. So I just take some from the lid, because it doesn't take a whole lot, and I brush it into my mold, and I try to get it on all the edges. There's actually quite a bit in my lid, but I try to get it all around, and you can see that this little mold here is got a shine going on now, so you can see that the perfect pearls is going in. I like to especially get it like down in the nose area and the mouth, because sometimes it releases a little hard if the clay is really warm. And if you're having problems getting it out of your mold because it's warm and it wants to just pull out and stretch, perfect pearls everywhere. Baby wipes to the rescue. I'm just going to wipe my mat up before I get my arm and my sweater and everything else covered with perfect pearls. Okay, so if it, like I said, if it's too warm and sticky, your clay, you can always put it, the whole mold, in the freezer for a couple of seconds and firm up the clay, and then you should be able to pull it out without too much trouble. Okay, so here's our ball of clay, and I'm just going to make the end of it a little bit pointy. And then that little point I'm going to put down in the general nose area. Oh. Well, there's another thing. That's way too much clay. Oh, but it would have made a nice face. So now I've got perfect pearls in my clay, but that's okay. That just adds a little bit of sparkle all the way through. I may want to, so what I want to do is I want to break off just a small piece of clay. This little mold here isn't going to take a whole lot to make a face. I'll add a little bit more of the perfect pearls, just so, I'll take it right off my mat to start with, just so the stuff I pulled off, put it down in the nose, a little more down in the nose. Okay. I'll hold it over my, yeah. I'm going to smooth it out a little bit because I don't want too much in there. Okay. So make a ball of the clay after you figure out how much. You could do a dry run too inside your mold just to see how much clay you need to make a face. This should be plenty. So I put the little point down into the nose, and then I just, yeah, this is plenty. This is still even too much clay. It doesn't take a whole lot of clay to make these little faces. Now be careful, because the perfect pearls that you put in there makes that mold kind of loose. Let me see if I can get this to push down in there good. Okay. Now I want to take my blade. I use a scalpel. I've had these scalpels for years. Mostly you can just use your polymer clay blade and just slide it right across. Try not to get your fingers in the way. Trying to do this without cutting my fingers. Well, here. I can't do it. Not on camera, so here's that. Let me find my other tile, which is buried over here. Okay, I'm going to slide that in, and I'm going to put my face down on it. And that's what the face looks like right now. And then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take my scalpel, and I'm going to very carefully go in and cut around the face. Okay. You can look at your face and see if you really like the way it came out, if it has enough detail on it, and all. Because sometimes, especially these molds, like this moon face mold, like you can see this eye over here. I don't know if you can see it, but that eye really didn't come out well. So I may actually put this back in the mold and try it again. So I'm just going to take her, I'm going to try just laying it back in there. That generally doesn't really work very well, because then you get like overlaying images, but if you press it down really well, then I'm just going to pinch around the very edge and lift it out. Well, that's a little bit better. These molds aren't the best, so, but that's what she looks like right now. And like I said, I'm sorry for the shadow, and the overhead lights don't make for very good lighting. So from here, this is where you look at the face and you decide if that's exactly what you want your face pendant to look like or not. You have lots of opportunity. Let me close up my scalpel so that I don't wind up cutting my hands. I use a variety of tools. You can use stylus, you could use toothpicks, you can use whatever you have at hand. I use a wide range of things depending on what I'm doing. I have this is a type of a sculpting tool. It kind of looks like these bigger paint mover type things. It has a silicone tip, so it's very flexible. And sometimes what I'll do is I'll come in and I just adjust these a little bit, because sometimes they just don't come out of the molds very well. Right now I'm trying to see if I can find, let me see. Oh, there's a toothpick. Hang on. I'm just getting a toothpick. Now this is a kind of a big toothpick. But what I want to do is I want to go into, I want to go into this mold, into the nose, and kind of open it up just a little bit. So it looks a little bit more like a face, like it might actually breathe. Okay. And you can kind of squeeze it around to adjust the shape of the face a little bit. In general, you can kind of make these your own. I might put a little bit in here, maybe give them bigger dimples. Let's see. I think I'm going to leave these eyes closed too. Well, we'll see what I do with the eye when we get to it. I'm actually thinking this eye over here, maybe I'll try to make this one wink too, like this face. This isn't a moon face, but you can see I have one eye closed and one eye open, kind of winking with its tongue out. So if we wanted to do an open eye, I just want to take one of my little tools. It's kind of got a rounded scoop end, and you have to kind of be gentle because this is way too big for this little pendant eye. But I just want to kind of give it, I want to get in here and just kind of get under the clay a little bit and push up to give it an upper eyelid. And then smooth down a little. And kind of make that eye open up. Smooth that down just a little bit into the nose. Of course, now you have kind of an empty eye socket going on there. I don't know if you can see that. I hope you can. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to my lump of clay, and I'm going to just break off a very teeny piece, because we've got a little teeny face there, and the eyeball is really little too. But you want it to be kind of rice shaped, because you're not just doing a ball, you're doing the inside of the eye. I'm going to put that down, because what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to pick it up with this. Well, Okay, and then I'm just going to see, and that's still a little bit big. I've really got to get in there and push this eye. I really want to open it up there. But I want to keep the lower lid and I want to keep the upper lid. Let me just open that right up. I will drop the eye in. No, I will take a piece of that eye. Did you see how much I left? I left quite a bit of it. I left pretty much half of it on the table, on the tile. And then I'm going to put this little piece in. And that's going to become the eye. And I'm just going to lay that in there like that. And kind of make sure I still have lid. I might add another little piece on top because I think I kind of poked a hole into the eyeball a little bit. So let me just add that little piece there. Because you do want the eye to be kind of round. You don't want it to be flat. Because your eye isn't flat. Okay, I'm going to add this other piece on top of it and push it in. There. And then I'm going to do the bottom. Kind of put the face back together a little. See if I like it. Turn it that way and move that eye. So I have a good underlid. And smooth it back out. And then it will go around the brow of the eye. Smooth that back out. And put this all back together. And there, after all that, there's an open eye and there's a closed eye. So this one will be winking also. Okay, and let's see. I don't know. I suppose we could make a tongue too. Because there she has her upper lip and her lower lip. We'll just open that mouth up a little bit. I wish I could zoom it in a little bit, but I don't have remote control on my camera. Let me see. Let me see if I can bring it in just a little. Okay. All right, so I've opened this mouth up. Here's the upper lip up here, and that's the lower lip down here. Now I'm going to take another piece of same color clay. Doesn't have to be different because, like I said, acrylic paint and pastels will work on polymer clay. Too much. I don't think he needs a tongue that big. Not unless he was a dog. So I'm going to kind of roll just one. If you make a ball and then you roll one side, you can make this teardrop. So you put that the narrow end. Well, I'm not going to do it like that because this is just too small. So I'm going to cut half of what I just took off, and that's what I have left. And if you look at it in comparison to this toothpick, that's how big that piece of clay is. Put my tool down. Use the toothpick. I'm going to pick this up. First I'm going to roll it so it becomes like a kind of an oblong shape. But I'm going to take it widthwise and I'm going to put it down on the mouth right there. Okay? Let me see, is it going to focus or am I too close? Oh, I am too close. Sorry. Sorry, camera. Come back. There go my dogs. I'm sorry. Okay, so now they've got this little lump here, and that's got to go down under the top lip. and stick out over the bottom lip. So there's the tally, and I'll put a little crease in the center of it. And there, I'll just fix those nostrils a little bit. Okay, so there we have it. No, we don't. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this little face and I'm going to put it in the oven, and I'm going to bake it at 275 degrees Fahrenheit. That's Fahrenheit. And I'm not sure what that is in Celsius. Hold on, let me see if the package says Celsius. Actually, just go by the directions on your package of clay, and that will give you a good idea of what to do. I guess it's 130 degrees Celsius, 275 degrees Fahrenheit, and you do it 15 minutes for every 1/4 of an inch in thickness. And this is thin, but I have to say that I still will bake this for 20 to 30 minutes. And you can do it in a toaster oven. The closer it is to the heating element, the I wouldn't do it too long. But I'm going to do this in my regular oven, right on this glass tile. And I'm going to do it for 25 to 30 minutes. And then I'm going to let it cool. And after it cools, I'll come back and we will go on. So I hope that you enjoyed that. I hope that you'll stick around, and I will see you in a minute. Hi, just back quick because I had some clay left, the translucent and that white, and I've got so much old clay that I just decided I should use it since I had it conditioned. And so what I did was I added some of the Sailboat Blue, Adirondack ink, and eggplant. Just a little tiny bit of eggplant. And I mixed it together with the translucent and the white clay that I had left. And I pressed it up. Then for a release agent, I used this Forever Violet Perfect Pearls dust, and put that inside the mold, and we'll see it together. Because then what I'm going to do is take it and put this one in the oven too. Well, not excited about this. Doesn't look all that great. I may move it around a little bit. I don't know. This one looks like it has a mark, excuse me, down the cheek here that goes right up into the eye, and I don't really like that. So let me play with that a little bit and see if I can. Yeah, I'm just going to make it worse if I mess with it. Let me turn it around here where I can see it. So this is an opportunity where you could add beads, or maybe even bring the beading that's on the sides around to be more on the face. Plus this is pretty thick, so you would have to bead this up pretty high if you wanted to make a beaded face pendant out of it. I don't know, I'll probably go put it in the oven anyway and see what happens. So my other one's still in the oven. I just thought I'd come back and show you that I went on and played. See you in a little bit. Okay, I'm back. I've added another light to see if that helps with the shadows. This is what the face looks like. It's all cooled. It's hard. If you need to leave it alone once you take it out of the oven until it is completely cooled. Once it starts to cool down, I'll actually throw it in a little bit of ice water just to speed the cooling process if I'm anxious to keep going, and usually I am. So anyway, you can actually color on these with alcohol markers. It's a little forgiving. You can put it on and wipe it back, but I'm not going to use alcohol markers today. I am going to use some plain craft paint. You can see I got this for 50 cents on sale at some point. This is a vibrant pink rose, and then this is a folk art, and it's metallic rose pearl. And I also have a folk art is it ballet pink? Yep, ballet pink. And I have an antique white. And I'm not going to use them all. I've just been sitting here trying to decide what color I'm going to color her tongue. The antique white is for the open eye, just to put a base inside the eye. So let me find the paintbrush I got out, because I did get a paintbrush out. Now, if you look at this brush, I'm not sure which way I show it better, but it's a very small brush with, I mean, it's not too few of hairs. It has its own fair share of hairs for its size, but it's very small. And it's small so that I can get inside the eye and just put the white where I need it. Okay, I'm back. A little bit of a malfunction. So I think I'm going to start with the inside of the eye and get that white based in. When it comes to outlining the eye and stuff, you'll see what I do there. I just use the inside of the cap because it does not take much paint. And I might wipe a little off on the card. I don't use water in this because I want the paint to be kind of thick. And let me take my brush and get down in there and just put a little dab of paint in, and I have an open eye. This probably isn't the best of faces to show this all with, but I will. It does kind of show the basics. It's a little flat. It could have. A lot of times I like to use to build up the face more so it's more rounded out, but this flat is going to work. I might add another coat just to kind of, have to be careful adding too much paint because this is a plastic surface now that the clay is baked, and that means the paint could pull right back up and you kind of defeat yourself. Okay, I'm going to rinse my brush off and I will dry it on a paper towel. And we'll move on to the tongue. Top back on the white so I don't spill it. And I think I'm going to use this metallic pink pearl simply because I want it to stand out. I'm not sure what color I used in my original face pendant. It may have just been the pink, hot pink pearl. But I think I'm going to use the metallic in this face because it's already got a sheen on it from the perfect pearls, and it's already a pink color. So we'll go all the way and use metallic pink pearl. Actually, metallic rose pearl. That's the color. So using the same brush, the same little hairs, just going to dip into the paint and check it on my paper. And then I'm just going to come in. I'm trying to do it so I don't cast too big of a shadow. And I'm just going to try to paint her tongue. I may have to turn it around so that I can see it better for just a minute. So for just a second, I'm going to lift her. Okay. Back in frame. Okay. This is where I usually have a cotton swab handy because I'm just putting my brush in the water. The tongue is very small and I kind of got around the outside of it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my toothpick, excuse my arm, and I'm going to just go back in here and wipe some of that off. Let me just get a little water on my toothpick. See, this is why I can't have open paint bottles around me, because I managed to get it on my arm and everywhere else. Okay, and I think that does the tongue. Doesn't take much paint at all. Got more paint on my arm than I put on that face. Let's see. Now, what I'll do is I'll make sure all the hot pink pearl is, rose pearl is off my brush. I'll cover that bottle up because I already managed to get enough of that on my arm as necessary. And now I'm going to go into the vibrant pink. And I think I'm also going to use the ballet pink. And I'm going to put some of this ballet pink on my paper, which is a 3x5 card. And I'm going to take just a little bit of that vibrant pink. I'm going to mix the two together. I don't have enough of the vibrant pink. So I'll just wipe that off on a paper towel and go back into the vibrant pink and pick up some more. Till I get a color I kind of like. And then make sure I don't have too much on my brush and get my bristles kind of all together so I'm not going all over the face. And then I want to pick this up carefully. And I want to just go in here and put a little of this on the lips, around the tongue. And of course I got some on the tongue, so I'll go back in with some more of the metallic pink pearl and touch the tongue up. It's very hard to talk and do this at the same time. Pick up a little bit more. The clock is going to chime. Well, I'll tell you, this is definitely working small. Okay, so I've got to have some more of the metallic pink pearl because I do have to touch the tongue up. I kind of covered it up with the lip color I used. Now in my other face that I'm using, I showed as completed, I did not go around the lips. I just did the tongue. And this one, I'm going around the lips because this face is much flatter. And I just think the adding lips kind of helps to pump it up a little. Okay, let's see. Get the cover back on that before I wear it again. And then I might go back in just a little bit more of this. Just here. Okay. All right, now I'm going to let that dry a little bit. And I'll show you what else you can use on these faces. Okay, so we're letting the eye dry so that a colored iris can be added in a pupil, and so we can outline the eyes. And the one that I finished, you can see that there's a blue dot and then there's a little green arrow that points up at the eye. I'm going to, let's see, this I might do with gel pen. So always try your things out on paper to make sure that they're working and that you like the colors. And on the one that I finished, I put the design on the open eye side. So I'm going to do the same thing again, like right below the apple of the cheek on the one that was completed, I put a dot. Now, don't want to make it too close to the bottom of the face because I want to bead. So this dot should be up where you know it most likely won't get covered with beading. So that's it. That is a gel pen dot on the eye. And then, let's see. We could make it a we'll make it a green arrow too, just like the green arrow on the completed piece. So, trying not to get my fingers in paint. Testing my pen to make sure it writes and that I like the color. Okay, it's kind of an arrow that points up to the eye. And you could do anything here that you like. If you wanted, you know, you could stick to regular colors and you don't have to do anything at all. Or you could put like a little brown mole next to her mouth. Kind of like a old style Hollywood starlet. You can do just about anything with these that you like to do. The good thing about them is they're small and they don't take much of any material to do. They can be as quick to create this part or take as long as you would like. I mean, you can paint the whole face. You could base coat it in white or a flesh color and then paint this whole face out if I cared to. At this point, I'd like to just put in an eye, and I think I just put my pen away because I was just going to do this with a gel pen. Let me see if this one works. Yep, so here's a light blue pen, and I'm going to see if it'll work over this white acrylic paint, which is antique white. It's not quite white. I'm not sure if it will because the eye is so small. The pen is kind of hitting up into the upper eyelid, but that's okay because I can cover that when I outline the eye to give it eyeliner and stuff. Now I want to make it big enough that I can fit that black pupil dot in, because what's an eye without a pupil? Okay, so there she's got a blue eye. Okay, I'm back. My battery died. Been replaced. We're all good. So she has a blue eye. And now I'm going to go in and give her a black pupil. I'll try to keep it a little bit round, but such as it is. There's her black pupil. I don't want to outline her eyes in this black. Okay, I'm back. I had to go find a couple of more pens, and while I was doing that, my timer went off on my oven, so the moon face that I molded with all my leftover clay that I had conditioned was ready to come out of the oven. And that's what that one looks like. And as you can see, I did some extra. Opened up the mouth, put in nostrils, and I messed around with the eyes a little bit. Nothing major. And so that's what this one looks like. I'll put her to the side. Now I picked out a couple of brown pens. This one is a Zig. It's called Millennium, Zig Millennium. And it's an 08. And then this one is a Perm Rider. It's a YC Perm Rider. Yeah, Y&C Perm Rider, acid free, not that that matters. And I don't see a point size on it, but it's even smaller. Here, let me set it down. The point on this, you'll see some, I made some marks here too, is smaller than the 08. So that's the 08. And then this is the Perm Rider. Oops. Let's hope the Perm Rider wants to write. And you can see, well, I don't know if you can see or not, but the Zig pen is a little bit of a redder brown, and the Perm Rider is a little bit more of a, I don't know, black side brown. So I think I'm going to try to outline the eyes with the wider nib first, with the red brown, because I like that color. We'll see what happens. I'm going to turn her face around so I can see the eye better. And I'm going to try to stay right on the upper edge of it. I don't want to go down into the eye. I want to be able to see the whites of the eye. Not sure this one's going to work because it's too light, I think. That's a little too light. I'm going to have to go over it again with a darker brown. And then the closed eye, as you would expect, just gets a line because it's closed. Might be a little bit of a thicker line because you want to indicate that, you know, there's, oh, don't want it on the face. Oh well. And go into the water and see if I can wipe some of that off. Yeah. Okay. That was good. I'm glad. Okay, so that's what that looks like with the red or brown. And I don't really like it. And since it's a swoop of an eyelash here, I might want to run it over if I can. Into, I may have to actually get, because there's like a crevice there that creates a bit of a jog. Okay, so I'm going to take the darker brown pen. It'd be funny if after all this I just have to go to black. Let's see if I can get that darkened in. Yeah, it's darkening. Okay, there's that. And then I just have to do some over here. Turn it around where I can see it. Get some in there. Okay, and I have that. And what I might want to do is see if I can find a light pink gel pen. That might work. And just kind of maybe outline the lips a little bit if it'll write. This one doesn't seem to want to write over the acrylic paint. Or it may be too close to the same color too. Okay, let's see if I can find a different one. See, this is all the fun things. I mean, I really enjoy doing these different. Oh, that's purple. I don't want purple. I want pink. Let's see, do I have a pink one here? No, it's too purple also. Oh my goodness. Let's see. This one might work. This is kind of a neon pink. Ooh, that's very neon. This is a little scary. Yeah, she's looking like a clown. Which might not be a bad thing if that's what you want. It's not really what I'm looking for though. See if I can just blot some of that off. Got some of it off. Well, that might not be a bad thing. See, sometimes you have happy accidents where I got a bit of a line, but I got most of the neon back off. So that's what she looks like right now. Now I'm going to let this all dry really well. I think I'm going to go back in with that pink pearl a little bit on the tongue because it still looks kind of light. just on the really tip of it, like right here. Okay, well, there's that. And once I put a gloss coat on it, you'll be surprised at how much it changes. It'll really brighten up. Let's see. I don't know, maybe I should just go with black. Push my luck, because I don't really like the way the eye is looking with the brown. Okay. Okay, and then I'll just darken up the pupil a little bit more. All right. And the other thing I like to do is go back in and put in just a white highlight, but I have to let the eye dry more for that. But I'm going to let her sit now. Well, I say I'm going to let her sit, but I might actually go back in with my Sculpting gloss glaze and do a quick coat over the face. Actually, what I usually do before I do that, let me see, I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back, and I've already done this part, so I just want to show you. I took it outside and I just hit it quick with some Krylon workable fixative. I always do that. It just helps to prevent any gel pen bleeding or movement of any kind, and it means I can make changes in subsequent layers without moving the stuff that's underneath the workable fixative. I'm not going to do a whole lot more to this face. I'm just going to put some gloss glaze on top of it and let it dry, and then I'm going to put some E6000 on the back and put the felt on it, and then go on with the beading. Now when I do the E6000, I put it on the back of the polymer clay, and then I put the felt on, and I let the E6000 dry overnight. And then what I do is I come back and I trim the felt. See? I can't talk and do this at the same time. So I come back after the E6000 dries and I trim the felt. I don't put the pin back on and everything until after I'm done with the piece, after I'm done beading, because if I do it before I finish beading, then what happens is the thread just keeps getting tangled in the pin back. And that does not make for a fun time, at least not for me. And as you can see, I'm very generous with my glaze. It goes on milky, it dries clear, and it gives it, this one is a gloss glaze that I'm using. See, it says gloss glaze. They also have satin glaze. Just depends what you're looking for. For these, most of these, I like the high gloss, really glossy finish. And I do try to get it down on the edges of the head. And I try not to get too many bubbles in there, because I don't want bubbles to dry on the face. And I will also check it as it dries to see if I want to go back in and add a second coat. And that generally just helps to even the whole thing up. Now, if I hadn't put that workable fixative on there, there's a good chance that the outlining on the eyes would have run. Just something to be aware of. Okay, so I'm going to stop here. I'm going to let this little face dry and maybe give it another coat of the gloss glaze. And I will come back and we'll go on with other parts of the process. Thank you for watching. Okay, well, hi, welcome back. I've got my face. I let it set overnight. You'll notice that I did repaint the lips a darker color because I did not think there was enough distinction for the lips. And I also added a little bit more blue to the eye. But then I just took the E6000 and put it on the back of the face, and I attached it to the felt. And I will show you using this piece. This was the moon face that I used the extra clay for. I opened up the mouth. I messed around with the eyes a little bit. I used some acrylic paint on the mouth. And this is Copic markers, so alcohol ink markers will work here. I used a couple of different colors to blend it out, and these are, well, these aren't Copics, they're the Spectrum Noir. My Copics are upstairs, so I just used my Spectrum because they were down here. And around the eye here, there's like a light line underneath that is also acrylic paint. And then I put a satin gloss coat on top of this face. And since I let this face dry overnight so that the felt was all adhered so we could move on with trimming, I thought I'd show you how I put the E6000 on the face. So this is just a square of craft felt in blue, and I'm just going to lay the face on top of it so I have an idea of how much I need. And it's not very much. I do want enough that it comes around the outside edge all the way around it. So there's that. And we can move the face now because all I'm going to do, if I can straighten out the felt a little bit, is just cut out the square. There. Get rid of that big thing. And there's our little piece of felt. So this face will fit right on there. There's room at the bottom under the chin, and there's room above the head. And this is E6000. This tube is pretty well used. It's one of my most favorite glues. Anytime I have to attach something non-porous to anything else, I use E6000. If I was doing wood to wood, it would be wood glue. But this E6000 just is wonderful. Of course, at this point, I have to put the head down because it's hard for me to squeeze this tube. And once it starts, it pretty much propels itself. So then it becomes a question of being careful not to get it all over. And of course I'm talking, so the dogs have decided it's time to play. So pardon their jingling. Just happy dogs having a happy day. Okay, so I get this, I put this on and I kind of spread it around with the nozzle, the tip, the point, whatever you want to call it. And I try to get it all over, out as close to the edge as I can. Not all the way to the edge maybe, because when you put the felt on it will squeeze a little bit. And you need to get the needle fairly close to the head. But other than that, it goes pretty close. And I just take a paper towel and I always wipe the end off. And I just twist it like that and pull. And it kind of gets all the additional residue towards the tip. And then I can just twist the top on and put it in my drawer for the next time. One of those things I like to keep track of because I'd hate to lose it. Okay, so, and now I'm just going to center the head. Not that it has to be perfect, because it doesn't. A lot of the excess is going to be trimmed off. But here's the head, and I'm just going to pick it up and smooth over the back, kind of pushing any little bumps out of the glue so that it, you know, merges with the felt. And then I'm going to set that aside and let it dry. Not too difficult. Okay, so now I'm going to pull our face back in that we're working with, and all that's left for this is to trim it out. And that's the back, and there's the face, and it's pretty well adhered all the way around. So I'm just going to take my little scissors and I'm going to try to leave a little border, because I will be sewing through the felt for the first row of beads. But I don't want too big a row. I mean, unless you want it to be a design element that it shows, I usually just leave a scant, I don't know, 1/16 to 1/8 of an inch all the way around. And if you get a little glue on the felt, you can see it, don't worry about it, because the beads will cover it. Plus you're going to have all that fringe on it, so pretty much anything at the bottom isn't going to show, unless somebody's really examining the piece. Okay, so there's our face. I hold on to it. Yep, there we go. Dogs are going to fight. So I'm going to end it here. This is the polymer place. Sorry. This is the polymer clay face attached to the felt. I'm going to stop here and put this video up, and when I come back we'll be sewing the base line of beads around the face like a bezel, and then we will be building up off of that base row of beads. So I hope that you found that interesting. Thank you for joining me. Thank you for watching. If you're new to my channel, I hope that you'll subscribe, and I hope that all of you have a very, very colorful day. Thanks for watching. Bye.